Welcome to the SmartKeys podcast.
Yeah.
Imagine spending like $5,000 on this massive weekend ad campaign. You're feeling incredibly confident. You launch it and
Let me guess. You log in on Monday and the budget is just gone.
completely burned to the ground.
Yeah.
And why? Because the call to action text was just like 2 pixels too close to the edge of the Instagram UI, so it had cut off by a button and nobody clicked.
Oh, yeah. That's just the frustrating, super granular reality of modern media buying.
Right. And you're operating in this landscape right now where the pressure it's almost exhausting. If you're running a brand, your marketing calendars are just overflowing. The demand to be everywhere all at once is relentless.
It really is. The whole landscape has fundamentally shifted, away from that single perfect advertisement. You just can't rely on crafting one flagship image and letting it run for a month anymore.
No, the algorithms definitely don't reward that.
Exactly. The social algorithms, they demand volume. They want variety. You basically have to run 50 variations across 6 different platforms simultaneously just to gather enough data to see what actually resonates.
Yeah.
And because of that crazy appetite for volume, creative production has become by far the single biggest bottleneck for modern professionals, solo founders, and, agile marketing teams.
Yeah, you might have the brilliant strategic ideas. You might even have the budget ready to deploy. But the actual physical act of generating all those distinct visual assets.
Right. It's a massive wall.
Exactly. It acts as a massive wall. So today, our mission is to figure out how to break through that wall without sacrificing the integrity of the brand. We're doing a deep dive into a really comprehensive review by Felix Römer from SmartKeys.org.
Yeah, and he's reviewing a software tool called AdCreative.ai.
Right, and our goal today is to figure out how this platform actually claims to solve that speed versus quality dilemma.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because right now, trying to manually resize a single ad campaign for 6 different social platforms feels like trying to fit a square peg into a constantly shifting round hole.
Oh, 100%.
Like you're just manually carving down the edges every single time the platform updates its dimensions.
Which is such an enormous drain on, cognitive energy, not to mention payroll. That manual resizing, the endless setup, adjusting text layers, that's the core operational problem.
So how do they actually solve it?
Well, to understand the solution, let's look at how the tool automates the workflow. According to Felix's review, the engine of speed here doesn't actually start with image generation.
Oh, really? Where does it start?
It starts with something super simple but structurally vital. Brand presets.
Ah, okay. The setup phase.
Yeah. Instead of staring at a blank, intimidating canvas every single time, you define your brand identity once.
You put in your logo, your specific hex codes for your colors, your target audience, your URL.
It just saves all that.
Exactly. And crucially, you define your tone of voice. This matters a lot from a machine learning perspective because generative AI tends to, it hallucinates or drifts into really generic outputs if you don't give it strict boundaries.
Right, it needs those guardrails.
Exactly. So by setting up these brand presets, the system stores the data, and every time you start a new brief, it applies those constraints automatically. It keeps your visuals and tone totally consistent.
So it's basically like having a creative brief already filled out and approved before you even sit down.
Basically, yeah. And from there, you move into this guided creation flow. You pick what kind of asset you want, like an image or a video, and the tool actually features a built-in text generator.
Oh, wow. So you don't even have to write the copy from scratch.
Right. It uses your pre-established tone of voice to suggest headlines and support text.
That's huge for a solo founder who doesn't have the budget to hire a full-time copywriter.
It acts as a brainstorming partner. And for the visuals, if you don't have a huge library of custom product photos, it integrates directly with iStock, Pexels, and Unsplash.
Oh, well, that's super convenient.
Yeah, it pulls those assets right into the workflow.
Okay, but let's get back to that square peg and the round hole analogy.
Right.
Because this is where the heavy lifting happens, right? The auto-formatting.
Exactly. Once you have your elements, your copy, your image, colors, the software just takes over. It generates exact fit files for practically everywhere you'd want to run a campaign.
We're talking Facebook.
Facebook feeds, carousels, stories, Instagram squares, stories, and those highly specific vertical reels.
Wow.
Plus LinkedIn, Google Display, Pinterest pins, Xgolf from one master concept.
See, I have to jump in here and push back on this a bit.
Sure.
Because if an AI is automatically cropping and resizing images for everything from a tiny mobile Instagram reel to a massive Google Display banner, doesn't it just end up looking like a generic cookie-cutter template? I mean, how much control do you actually have over the layout?
That is the exact right question to ask. And the review addresses this tension very transparently. There's a fundamental trade-off happening here.
Okay, what kind of trade-off?
Well, the tool excels at sheer volume and keeping basic layout hierarchies intact. But it does sacrifice pixel-perfect, fine-grained control. It's built for speed and small teams, not for highly custom, bespoke compositions.
Right. So if I notice that my headline is slightly overlapping a visual element, I can't just go in and nudge that text box 2 pixels to the left.
Exactly. That structural limitation is highlighted in the source. You get very limited options for custom design tweaks. If your team demands deep, granular control over every single vector, this platform will frustrate you.
Yeah, I can see that.
You're basically trading artistic control for exponential output.
Which is a valid business decision.
Mm.
If you got a masterpiece, you hire a senior designer and give them a week. If you need 50 functional variations to test by Tuesday, you use this. But generating that volume creates a whole new problem. If the tool spits out dozens of ads in minutes, that's massive information overload. How do you know which ones to actually spend money testing?
That is the multi-thousand-dollar question, and it's where the platform introduces its secret weapon, the predicted performance score.
Here's where it gets really interesting. It's like having an instant virtual focus group living inside your laptop, ranking the ads before you ever spend a dime of your actual ad budget.
That's a great way to put it.
But how does it work? Like, how does a machine learning algorithm predict human behavior?
It's pretty fascinating. The score isn't just pulled out of thin air. Every generated creative gets a score from 1 to 100. The AI calculates this by evaluating specific visual elements, like color contrast ratios, text density, focal points, and the semantic tone of the copy.
Okay, and then what?
Then it cross-references all those variables against a massive database of historical performance patterns from live ad campaigns.
Oh, wow. So instead of running a live A/B test on 50 variations and basically paying Facebook just to find out an ad is terrible.
Right, which burns through your cash reserve.
Exactly. Instead of that, the score acts like a triage system.
Yeah.
You can confidently shortlist the top 3 to 5 candidates.
Precisely. You only deploy budget on the ads the machine learning predicts have the highest potential. And the review points out that these top-ranked AI options very frequently align with the actual winners picked by seasoned marketers.
That is a massive paradigm shift. But AI isn't infallible, right? Where does the human professional fit into this loop?
Well, the review is totally clear on this. You cannot just push a button and walk away. The absolute necessity of strong human inputs cannot be overstated.
Garbage in, garbage out, basically.
Exactly. If you feed it blurry images and generic headlines, the outputs will trend toward the generic. The tool handles formatting, but the strategic messaging and brand vision still belong entirely to you.
Right. So what does the recommended workflow actually look like?
It's a very tight loop. Generate the variations using strong inputs. Shortlist them using the predicted scores. Then, and this is crucial, the human steps back in to A/B test that top 3 to 5 in live campaigns.
Okay, so you still do live testing.
Yes. You analyze real signals, iterate based on real data, and then scale the winners.
So what does this all mean for a remote marketing team? I can see this getting chaotic if a team of 5 is just leaving async comments and downloading different versions. Isn't that a recipe for version control disaster?
What's fascinating here is that the review acknowledges that exact risk. The tool is an accelerator, not the final creative authority.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and while it has sharing features, there is no live, real-time co-editing. It relies entirely on async comments. Plus, customer support is email only.
Oh, wow. No live chat.
Nope. So to survive the volume of assets, the review strongly advises planning strict approval steps to avoid that version chaos. And you always have to validate those AI scores with live A/B testing to avoid false positives.
Got it. Okay, so we've got the speed, we've got the triage, and we have the human guardrails. But to make this viable, the pricing has to make sense. How much does this actually cost?
The pricing model is really clever. It's a credit-based economy. But here's the strategic advantage. You pay for exports, meaning downloads. You do not pay for generations.
Wait, really? So essentially it's like an all-you-can-eat buffet for brainstorming, but you only pay for the takeout boxes you actually bring home? That completely removes the fear of wasting money on bad AI generations.
That is exactly it. Ideation is entirely free and unlimited. You only use a credit when you find an ad you love and hit download.
That's awesome. So what are the actual tiers?
Well, the starter plan is around $25 a month for 10 downloads.
Super accessible.
Yeah. Then the professional tier is $149 a month for 50 downloads across 3 brands, and the ultimate tier is $359 a month for 100 downloads and 10 users.
And didn't the review mention something about SEMrush?
Yeah, there's a SEMrush App Center option that's $109 a month for 100 credits, which is great if you're already in that ecosystem.
Nice. So what's the budgeting strategy here?
The review recommends mapping your expected downloads to your launch calendar.
Oh, smart.
Right. Count the exact downloads you need per campaign, multiply by the number of campaigns, and that forecasts your monthly cost. It perfectly matches your real-world output.
That forces a really good culture of discipline. Brainstorm freely, but only spend on proven winners.
Exactly. So to summarize, when speed matters, this tool allows U.S. marketers and small teams to turn concepts into multi-platform ads really fast without a massive creative team.
As long as they provide strong inputs and stick to simple testing loops.
Precisely. And that leaves us with a pretty provocative thought to mull over.
Let's hear it.
If AI tools successfully democratize standard ad creation and layout, will the purely human-crafted bespoke ad become a premium novelty in the future, or will AI outputs eventually become so nuanced that the line disappears entirely?
Wow, yeah, that really changes the definition of what a creative professional even is. Well, we've covered a ton of ground today. Thank you so much to you, the listener, for tuning into the SmartKeys podcast. If you found this valuable, please subscribe to the podcast so you never miss a deep dive. And I highly encourage you to read Felix Römer's full article. The link is right there in the show notes. Keep optimizing those inputs, and we'll catch you next time.